one time you told me that when you made your first million, you were like, really? Like, that's it? Can you like tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, when you think of $1 million, when you don't have it, or you're starting out, or you're broke, or you're young, and you're just not aware of what real money is, you assume that $1 million is going to give you all this power and abilities and, connections and prestige and, access. And when you finally get to $1 million, you realize it's not as much as you thought it would be. It doesn't give you as much as you thought it would give you. And you start to realize that $1 million isn't what everyone thinks it is. In fact, go read the book, The Millionaire Next Door. You start to realize, man, you could have quote unquote millionaires living right next to you and you can't even tell. They're driving Camrys, they're just normal Joe Blow people. But their net worth is over $1 million. Why? Because, dude, $1 million doesn't get you that much, especially if you're doing it right. Let's say you have $1 million cash. Someone gave it to you tax-free. It's yours, 100% yours. And you invested every dime of it. Would you have the $1 million anymore? No, because you invested it. It's working for you, which is the proper thing to do. So now you don't have $1 million. Well, how are you paying your rent? How you paying your rent? You got to work. You got to go earn money. Well, I thought you were a millionaire. Well, you are, but that $1 million is working for you. And how much is it getting you in return? Let's say it's doing well at 10%. Okay? That means you're making $100,000 a year, right? On $1 million. $100,000 a year, you don't fly private making $100,000 a year. Nowadays, depending on the city you live in, $100,000 you can't get very far at all. So even though you're a millionaire, you're just living a normal, everyday, average. Well, I don't want to say average because according to statistics, man, it seems like everybody's broke. But yet, look around. I don't see a bunch of broke people. I see a smaller percentage of people without, okay? And again, no, I'm not studying poverty, okay? I don't focus on shit I don't want to attract. So at the end of the day, I study, how to make money, how to hustle, how to build relationships, how to build networks, how to leverage networks, how to leverage money. I'm looking at the answers, not the problems. But at the end of the day, $1 million isn't what I thought it would be. I thought $1 million would be, all the money I'd ever want. And if I had $1 million, I could have anything I wanted. Well, once you start to get $1 million, when I first got $1 million, quote unquote $1 million, first of all, 9 times out of 10, when you do that, it's the company's money, not yours. So unless you own 100% of your company, it's not your $1 million anyway. And then not only that, once you have $1 million, you still owe bills coming up. And in order to make $1 million, you probably got to, 30-40% bills, payroll, etc., taxes, FICA, Social Security, all the you got to pay. So $1 million is more than likely, when you first get it, not even yours, it's the company's, and you need it to operate. So it's like, yeah, I'm a millionaire technically. I could take it, but then I wouldn't be able to pay payroll. I could take it, but then I wouldn't be able to afford all the things that I'm doing to make the money. So I got to continue to reinvest it. So again, the first $1 million, it's like nap. Then the second $1 million, then the third $1 million, then the fourth $1 million, kind of the same thing. You're just reinvesting, and you're like, wow, it's not as much as I thought it would be. Man, it doesn't allow me to go ham on things. It doesn't allow me to freaking live frivolously. Okay? It's $1 million. Big deal. $2, $3, $4, $5 million. It's not what you think it is. Now, if you get $5 million net, liquid, after all expenses, all your cash flow and your business money's still there, all of your operating capital still there, and you got $5 million net in the bank, now you're starting to get somewhere. And again, it's really not that much still. 10 million is literally what most people think $1 million is. You got to get to 10 million to actually have what you thought $1 million would do. And then you have to get to, 50 million to get what you thought 10 million would do. Because a lot of people think $10 million, you're rich for life. That's not even close to true. If you invest $10 million at an average, let's say it's 10%, that's $1 million a year. It's only $100,000 a month. You could get crazy and blow $100,000 a month. Now, again, if you're a fool Yes, you could live very comfortably on 100 grand a month. There's a lot of people that'll be like, what are you, jaded? Of course you can live on 100 grand a month. Of course you can. But again, family of 4, cars, homes, vacations, taxes, charity, philanthropy. You might have overextended yourself on the house you live in. You're not making enough money to pay the bills, so now that money starts to get chewed into. Next thing you know, you don't have quite as much. Now you're not making quite as much. Dude, I'm just telling you. If somebody wants to hit a target where they can feel like they don't have to worry about money anymore, depending on their lifestyle. Because again, if you are a very simple individual and you do not need material things, $1 million would go a long way. You could literally retire for the rest of your life on $1 million. That's the freaking angle we want to take. That's the freaking conversation people need to hear. All these people saying $1 million isn't very much anymore. Matter of fact, I just got done on a rant because it really isn't. But in reality, if you can live modestly, if you don't need material things, if you understand that true happiness comes from people and relationships and experiences, you don't need a lot of money to do the things that make you actually the most fulfilled. Okay? So in reality, $1 million net could literally support you the rest of your life if you live to 80 years, as long as you invested the $1 million properly and got a return of at least 10%. Because that would give you $100,000 a year. And if you could live modestly, you don't need material things. You literally enjoy life as it should be enjoyed, which is through the experience, through the relationships. You don't need all those material things. You could live the rest of your life on $1 million. Period. Don't let people bullshit you and act like you can't. Of course you can. You're going to have a modest home. You're going to have modest transportation. You're going to go to modest places. You might have to budget. You might have to stretch a dime, if you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, guys, $1 million is still $1 million. And if you live modestly and don't need material things, you could that $1 million would last you forever. Now that was just a boom. I said on one hand, you can't. On the other hand, you can. Well, I can't. I can't live on $1 million. Why? Because I've already raised my lifestyle up to a point where I'm not willing to go backwards. So now I am forced to make more. Okay? If you don't want to be forced to make more in life, make more, but don't raise your lifestyle. Live modestly. Choose experiences and relationships and things that make you happy. I know people that don't make much money, but they're happy. Why are they happy? Because they love, what their life consists of. They get up, they go to church, they got their little outings that don't take a bunch of money. They go on picnics with their family. They do crafts at home. They don't spend a lot of money. They don't need material things to make them happy. Those people are truly happy, and money wasn't necessarily required. Money still's required, or they wouldn't be that happy. Because guess what? If you can't pay your mortgage, you can't pay your rent, you don't have gas for your car, you don't have money for insurance, you can't even register, something goes wrong that you can't cover, medical expenses, you got to have money, but you don't need a bunch of it. If you live modestly, $1 million could go a long way.